All right, here we are on the Big John radio show. Very professionally oriented here. And with a good friend of mine, Derek. We used to work together doing some contract work.
By
we'll
God.
leave it vague so that you think it's more impressive than
High
it really
risk.
was.
High risk.
Yeah, it's always good to be vague, so you seem impressive. Like I was an operator.
Yes, contractor in
Yeah.
a certain metro area.
Right, the vaguer the better. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna talk about some things, just have some conversation, and probably you guys won't even want to listen, but we're gonna talk anyways. We don't care. Oh man, did you see that ad that the new anti-gun group Every Town?
Yes.
Which, by the way, you think of that title, Every Town, you see what they're doing there.
I think they made the best pro-gun ad that they could have made. After seeing that, I want to go out and get a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, that lady needs a shotgun and a big dog. Heck yeah. In fact, I think it's gonna have the opposite effect of what they intended. Seeing that, I'm thinking people are gonna say, you know what? I'm a single mom alone with a kid with a stalker husband. I need a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a gun.
Exactly. And for those of you that haven't seen it, basically what happens is it's a domestic violence situation where the boyfriend is beating on the door like he's gonna come in, and the girlfriend or wife is in the house, and she's got her kid there. Of course, vulnerable situation. She's on the phone with the police.
Of course.
Which proves one point that we like to make, that while law enforcement is great, we rely on them for a lot of things, but one thing you cannot count on them for, they can't be everywhere.
All the time.
They're not magical. They can't be everywhere. So that's why we like to have guns to protect ourselves.
That's right.
So that, all right there, already they made a great case for having a gun. Just the fact that she's on the phone with the police and here's this guy at her door and the police don't come and stop it. So of course he gets in somehow, and he comes in and just says some stuff, and basically he wants to take the kid apparently.
Yeah, he threatens her and her child.
Yeah, exactly. And then at some point pulls out what looks like a Glock 19 or
of course,
23.
Of course.
He has good taste at least.
That's right.
That's important. And of course it's it's a scary, fear tactic kind of video, but to me, if I watched that video and at the end of it it said, sponsored by the NRA, I wouldn't think anything about it. It looks like a pro-gun ad to me.
Which I think is the effect that the unintended effect that it's going to have is that it's going to make a lot of people, especially women, want to go out there and get firearms training and get weapons. Good ad if you're pro-gun. I think, again, this is going to backfire on them. Great ad, again, if you're pro-gun. If I was a single mom with a kid and a nutcase husband outside, I'm getting a gun.
Yeah. I mean, how can you watch that and just think, yeah, I shouldn't be able to buy a gun. That's definitely what we need.
As he's crashing through the door, the last thing I need in this situation is a gun.
Yeah. I mean, I can see how you could watch it and say, oh, guns are scary. Of course they're scary.
Of course.
So are fists.
Knives.
Flying at your face,
Clubs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, of course guns can be scary if they're used against you, which is why you need a gun to protect yourself.
People are scary too, by the way.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's not the guns that are scary. I mean, it's the people.
Exactly.
But of course, a person with a gun makes them scarier.
Scarier.
Like everyone knows, the only thing that stops a scary guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
A good guy.
But to quote Wayne LaPierre there a little bit. But
also in that commercial too, I'd like to point out that the gun of choice would be a shotgun, 12 gauge, double alt.
Yeah.
2 3/4 barrel, please.
Yeah, I mean that guy, he never would have made it past the door.
Exactly.
I mean the situation that you're really worried about is, a guy sneaking in on you at night when you're not expecting it. Maybe you're asleep or you're in the shower or something like that. Which, something to remember is, if you're taking a shower, you want to have a gun accessible, and you want to think about those vulnerable positions that you can be in your house, and be aware that you have to pretend like the time that you're not prepared is when something is going to happen.
The most important thing to remember about gun usage, gun safety, is that weapon has to be available when you need it.
Right.
Along with training and logic and common sense. Again, depending on the situation, your weapon's got to be available when you need it. Well, that's probably the most important thing besides gun training.
Right.
that you need to consider if you're going to buy a weapon.
Right.
Again, one more time, that commercial is going to sell more guns to more women than anything else.
I think so too. It just really boggles my mind. I've watched it so many times, and I don't see the anti-gun message. Maybe I'm biased. It sounds crazy. I know. Maybe I have a bias. I don't know.
Apparently, I mean, did they think that? I think she used harsh language, right? That didn't work. I don't know why not.
Yeah,
harsh language, stop, or I'll say stop again. That didn't work.
Cell phone. I mean, that's pretty
Whoa! Well, stop me. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But that crazed spouse, demented spouse, wasn't fazed by her harsh language and cell phone.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't understand is why did he even need to pull a gun in that situation?
Good point.
What kind of guy is this, you know?
There's an unarmed woman and a small child. I need to pull this weapon out.
Yeah. It's like, I know what'll take care of the situation. Like Glock 23.
Well, unfortunately, from the law enforcement aspect, what you'll see is that when it's come to that point where you got the spouse out there breaking through doors to get to his ex-family, unfortunately, many occasions like that, it does end with the spouse, the craze, what's the word I'm looking for? The disoriented, demented spouse taking the other spouse's life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, which is it's just, we shouldn't be afraid. We should be reasonable. We should be prepared.
Right.
Because no, we don't like to think about things like that, but they do happen, and they don't happen every time. But the potential's there. You have to be reasonable.
Yeah, it almost seemed like in a sense it almost minimalized a serious issue, which is domestic violence.
Yes.
It tried to put it off on guns.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, if they're really worried about that specific situation, then why don't they have something about domestic violence and what the root causes are for that? I mean, I'm no expert on it, but there's got to be some, if you really dig deep, some root causes that, to that we can really, you know, bring to people's attention to help fix that issue. It's not the guns, you know.
Exactly. The gun, that gun, the fact that, as you mentioned before, why does this guy even need a weapon at all in that situation? But what are the root causes of domestic violence? Ways to avoid it, situations like that. That might have been more effective than what they did. Sounds like these people that made this commercial had a real agenda. You know, they wanted to target weapons and how bad guns are. But the format they used, I don't think worked for them, as we already talked about. Again, I would come away from that commercial saying, by God, I need a gun.
Yeah.
So
really, it was just disgraceful. But that makes me think of another thing that's really important to me. You know, and of course, as you guys know, I'm pretty involved in the gun community and the gun culture and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And, you know, I may have heard of this guy. What's his name? Hickok 45.
Plug.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me plug Hickok 45 in case you guys don't know. You should check it out. But in all seriousness, though, something that I have a big problem with is rampant in the gun culture, gun community, whatever you want to call it, is this macho, inflated ego attachment to guns. It's something that I've never understood because I've always felt like I was a really humble person, you know, in life. And when I am around people who I share a very common interest, you know, in firearms, you know, I could talk all day about firearms, but they seem to have this, you know, this feeling that the gun by itself makes them, you know, somehow a tougher person.
Which is untrue.
It is. Untrue. It's a tool.
Not true at all. It's a tool. A gun is an extension of, I guess you can call it extension of yourself and not sound too strange.
Right.
But you're right. There are too many people out there. I had a run in the other night with an individual at this place that I worked that should remain nameless. And the individual was upset, had all kinds of attitude, very belligerent, very profane. The guy found out later because he identified himself with his carry permit. And that's when all the tough talk and profanity started. And people around me agreed that this guy, after I put him out, he started yelling about he was going to come back and blast me. Which I'm thinking, nah, because he talked too much about it. He talked too much about it. The more they talk, the less chance they're going to do anything. Right. But everyone on scene and some of the real gangsters who were in the area at the same time said, this is the kind of guy who his gun made him feel more like a man.
Right.
It was like a security blanket, like Linus from Peanuts, and his blanket. It is Lion. It ain't Schroeder. I don't know. My peanuts ain't. It's been a while since anybody's seen Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
But
we get the point.
But his gun made him feel more like a man,
right.
and that's not healthy.
No.
For him or for anybody he might run into, because he runs into that person that ain't going to take his threat as empty, and it's going to confront him, and it could end badly for him. So you're right. There's too much of that, and I don't know if we could say it on the air. What you call somebody, that P word with a gun?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that, but you know what I'm getting at.
Right. Exactly.
There's too many of those guys out there. A gun don't make you any more of a man. It does not gain you respect. It may get you fear from some people, but fear is not respect.
No, not at all.
There's a difference.
And you don't want people to fear you.
No, you don't. Exactly.
Why would you want that?
Exactly.
Unless you're just a bad person.
Exactly.
And even if you don't care about being an authentic person without an inflated ego and being just a real, genuinely nice person, even if you don't care about those things, having an inflated ego because of your firearms could literally get you into a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Legal trouble.
Yes.
Your safety.
Yes.
Because you have a misconception about, when you have an inflated ego, generally you have a misconception about yourself that you're lying to yourself about.
Exactly. There's more than just the there's a lot more going on than just the ego.
Right, exactly. It's like an iceberg.
Exactly.
It looks bad on the surface, but it's way worse when someone has a very inflated ego. And when you get yourself into a situation where that is challenged unwillingly, you are forced to realize that you're lying to yourself.
Exactly.
And you're going to break down. You're not going to handle that very well.
My experience with especially carrying a weapon, which I've done for many years now, as you well know, as long as people see that you carry professionally, that you're responsible, that reflects on what kind of person you are. That will get you the respect that you want. That will get you seen as the kind of person that you won't be seen as.
Right.
Not the fact that you have a weapon, but that how you carry yourself. It's how you carry yourself, how you act, how you are to other people. That's what gains you respect.
Set a good example. Yeah. You want to set a good example for other people.
Exactly. Because remember, you have to carry professionally at all times. And my experience has been that if you carry professionally at all times, people don't really have a problem.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, that's been my experience. It's those other people that don't do the right thing the right way. Those are the ones that people tend to have a problem with, that maybe shouldn't have a weapon, that maybe their weapon somehow makes them a better, stronger person, which it doesn't.
Right.
So
you have a better tool for a potential job that you may face.
Exactly.
Basically. And something that I know you guys have heard my dad talk about on his radio show or in videos a lot, is that when you're carrying a gun, it should make you less confrontational.
Yes, exactly.
Because you have that nuclear option. So if you do get involved in some kind of confrontation, if some guy, maybe you cut someone off in traffic accidentally, and some guy is like being aggressive towards you, just because you kind of want to show that you're not someone to be messed with doesn't necessarily mean that you have some super inflated ego. We're all guilty of that. That is an ego thing. But when you're carrying a gun, your reaction to that situation should be, I have a gun, I need to steer clear of this situation.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to get involved in any type of situation. Like, you have a gun, like any type of situation has a potential to become a lethal situation.
Exactly.
When you have a gun. If
you carry legally, let's reiterate that. If you legally carry a weapon, it is a very, very heavy responsibility, and you can never forget that.
Right.
In fact, if you're carrying a weapon, open or concealed, the first thing pops into your mind when any kind of situation comes up is de-escalation.
Right.
De-escalation. If you're carrying a weapon, you're the last one to want a confrontation.
Exactly.
And even if a confrontation does come, your sidearm, your weapon is an absolute last option. Right. And it's a big responsibility. It's a privilege. It's a constitutional right, but it's also a privilege too.
Right.
And you can never forget that. Don't abuse that, and don't forget that it can be taken away if you do the wrong thing.
Or maybe a better way to say it would be, it is a right, but look at it like a privilege.
Exactly.
Even though we don't like to refer to it as a privilege, because honestly, I don't believe the government can tell me whether I can or can't carry a gun. I don't think that's something the government should do. And I think everyone listening probably agrees with that. But you should treat it like it is a privilege.
Yeah. Yes.
To be responsible.
And do the right thing the right way. And
right.
Again, as long as you carry, as we said, responsibly, professionally, I've never met anyone that had a real problem with it. They could even be anti-gun.
Right.
But as long as you, as the permit holder, the person that carries a weapon, carry it responsibly, professionally, they may not like it, but they respect you because you're doing the right thing. You set that right example. We talked about that. You're setting the right example.
Right. Exactly. Anytime you are carrying a gun, especially if people know it,
yes,
you are representing all other people that carry a gun, and that is important. And that's why it's very important to, when you strap that gun on, take off your ego.
Oh yeah.
If you just have to have your ego, in life. Otherwise, when you put that gun on, at least put it down for that. When you're going to carry that gun around.
In fact, if you're carrying, you should be the most level-headed, reasonable person around.
Right. You should. Definitely. Like they said, I can't remember who it was now, but I know someone said, an armed polite society is a polite society.
Oh, exactly. It is.
And it's very true. Everyone, I'm not going to say everyone should carry a gun, but definitely everyone should be able to. But it's, like I said, it's a big responsibility.
Definitely.
We're talking about, and it's something you just can't ignore. Like I've grown up with guns. It almost seems like all I know is guns. Like, I first learned to shoot when I was 3 years old.
My God!
I fired one of the first guns I fired. Actually, the very first centerfire gun I ever fired was an Uzi. And I had fired a fully automatic by the time I was about 6 or 7 years old. So I'm quite, involved with firearms.
That's what I'm talking about.
But still, even with all of that, I still don't get complacent about it.
You can't. You
can't. Yeah, exactly. You just can't.
I stopped an individual at the other job a couple of years back. I stopped a individual who tried to enter this venue with a weapon, and as a person that does the kind of work I do, that big enough, that dance enough for that, you'll get a feeling. If somebody has a weapon on them, you just get this feeling. I can't describe it. You just get this feeling. This guy's armed.
Yeah.
And then you'll do a search, and there it was. And he says, "Oh, I forgot." "Oh, you forgot you had a Glock 19 in your waistband?"
Yeah.
"Oh, of course you did." Yeah, of course. Perfectly reasonable. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was going to be checked. But again, you have a weapon. It's always on your mind.
Yeah.
If you're carrying, it is always the first thing on your mind. I have a weapon on me. No matter where you go, who you talk to, what you're doing. The fact that I'm armed is always in the back of your mind, or it should be.
Right, and and also you need to remember, you don't want to forget that you're armed, because there's certain places you may go where you're not supposed to have that gun. And some of the laws we may agree with or disagree with. But it's what we got, and it makes sense to follow them, if for no other reason, to shed a good light on concealed carry.
And it's the law. We should obey the law.
Right. Exactly. We can, at least right at this point right now, it's still a free country, and
so far,
we have the right to say whatever we want about our government, the laws, and we disagree with them and try to, because that's what being American is all about. Is our society is supposed to be fluid. Like we affect it, we change it.
That's right.
It starts with knowledge. And then eventually it leads to voting and all that. So I forgot what the point I was trying to make. But I'm sure it made sense.
That's right, by God.
Yeah.
But again, we got it all boils down to doing the right thing the right way. Not only as far as carrying a sidearm, but in life in general, doing the right thing the right way. You just avoid problems that way.
Right.
And last point on that is that, again, being a permit holder, carrying a weapon is a great responsibility.
Right.
It is a great. It is a right, yes, but it's also a great responsibility too. And we always have to remember that we have to do the right thing the right way, because you're not only there to protect yourself, you're there to protect anyone else that may be threatened too.
Right.
So that's part of being it. That's part of it.
Right. And another ego thing, aside from that whole issue of carrying a gun and all that, is when you're going to buy a gun.
Oh yeah.
You walk into a gun shop, and now there are some people that I know personally that work in gun shops that they are insanely knowledgeable.
Yeah.
They're like, everyone knows these like sports fanatics.
Oh yeah.
That you talk to, and they're just like, what? Like, how do you know all that? Like, are you an insane person? Like, how can you know all that? There's gun people like that. I'm not that. I've grown up with guns, been all the time with it, but I have to be honest, I'm not like that.
Yeah, you're right.
I have other interests,
Yeah, not just weapons.
Right, I know a lot, but I don't, so but there's people in gun shops that I've known that are like that. So if you get to talking to someone like that, that's great. Like, you're going to probably get some good information. But even if you're talking to someone like that, they still have their own biases.
Yeah.
So even if they may know a lot about guns, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're steering you in the right direction for you. So that person is not necessarily as likely to have a puffed up ego about it. But that, back to what I was saying, that is a big element of the gun shop experience.
Yeah.
When you walk in there and you are asking about a gun, for some reason they've gotten into their head that if you know less or appear to know less about guns than them, they are somehow better than you. I see it all the time. And they will talk down to you. They will tell you what you want, regardless of what you think you want. They know.
Okay.
You don't know what you're talking about. This is the gun you want.
To avoid all that, I stress, do research before you walk in the gun shop. If you decide that you want to buy a firearm, first thing you need to ask yourself is why.
Yeah.
It's why, and what am I going to use it for? And then based on that, the what's and whys, you do research. What's the best weapon for what I need?
Right. Exactly.
And
already know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Now, sometimes you might if you're just a collector, you might browse. Oh, that looks cool. That's different.
Yeah.
But if you're really but those kinds of people, you don't need to ask any questions.
No, exactly.
You're just looking. You already know. But the kind of people that are newer to guns and they're wanting to learn internet. That's where you do.
Yeah.
Go on the internet, learn, walk into a gun shop, and experience.
And get
learn
knowledgeable.
on the internet, experience in a gun shop. You don't need to learn in a gun shop. If you're having to learn about a gun from a gun shop clerk, it's too late.
Get knowledgeable and have somebody know what you want, and that way you just avoid a lot of problems and a lot of problems with clerks who don't really know what they're talking about.
Right.
Because you can walk in there, knowledge is power. You'll know what you want, and that way you have some idea what kind of weapon you want to get, and based on that, make your decision.
Right. I mean, I've heard gun clerks say ridiculous things. I mean, there's been so many times where I'll just be looking at some guns, and I'll hear, someone will come in and say, "What do you got with the most knockdown power?" And someone will be, "Oh, well, you gotta have at least this," or "Oh, no. What are you talking, 9mm? What are you shooting, ants?
25. Oh yeah, give me one of those. Yeah. Hollow point 25. Oh, okay.
I mean, I've heard him say just insane stuff. and honestly, that experience has really helped me if I'm going to look at something that I don't know about.
Yeah.
I realize that even though this guy, he might know the lingo, now, that brings me to the other point. Lingo is a great way to sound like you know something. So if you want to sound like you know something and you don't, look up lingo.
That's right.
That's my best advice to you.
That way you sound authoritative, but
exactly.
Does this guy really know what he's talking? Yeah.
He's got the lingo.
He must know.
But what I was saying, you get in that situation. I can't remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about?
People that sound knowledgeable, but they're not.
Yeah.
They got the rap down, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forgot what point I was trying to make there, but
don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by that.
You can easily be fooled.
You avoid that by being knowledgeable about what you want.
Now I remember. I was going to say that I've learned that when you go, that from that experience, being in an environment that I know a lot about, and hearing people say things that I just know are just ridiculous. So when I'm in an environment that I don't know a lot about, if I'm looking to buy, a computer, whatever it is, car, whatever, and I know not to trust them. Yeah. Because I know that there could be someone else that is knowledgeable standing right next to me and hearing them say and being like, "Wow, this guy's going to believe this."
Awesome.
So it's really helped me in other aspects.
True. Anytime that you're going to do anything, not just weapons, but in life, before you go into any situation, learn as much as you can. Yeah. It'll make things a lot easier because you're not going in there blind. Right. If you go in there blind, it's easier to get screwed. So.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the main point is that I wanted to make all that convoluted conversation there is just leave the ego out of it. Guns, they're fun. They're fun to collect. You know, they're great. There's just rich history. You know, like there's not many other things where you can own such a piece of history.
1911.
Things that are so, you know, closely related to like the real raw history of wars shape our history. You know, and regardless of what we think about them, they shape our history, and there's something neat about being able to own a gun that it was there. I mean, I don't know exactly where or who carried it, but like it was there, it was involved in that. And you can shoot it, you can still use it, it's still functional. Like that's just a neat thing,
Heck yeah. It gives you a deeper appreciation of what others have gone through before you.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, then there's the self-defense side, I mean, it's huge to be able to have, firearms, and to be able to use them, to potentially, save your life. That is huge. But there's no reason to get your ego wrapped up into it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get your ego wrapped up into anything, but especially not guns.
That's not the place for it.
Yeah.
And if you got ego issues and weapons, this guy's probably got other problems going on. He's probably got other stuff going on.
Right.
And, so you can't do that. You gotta be level-headed. One more time, the person that has a weapon needs to be the most level-headed, calmest person out there.
Yeah.
Because if he's not, again, it could go nuclear quick.
Right. And there's a whole thing that the other side will say about the oppositions. Of course, the anti-gun crowd will say like, "Oh yeah, he needs that big gun. He's overcompensating for something." Well, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true.
No.
But there are. You don't buy a gun because you feel inferior about like your job or your life or your physical stature or anything like that. I mean, maybe someone out there, but that's not the problem. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like people, they have this attachment to guns. It's like I buy that. They might be totally confident people, very tough. People study martial arts. Been in the military, combat, all that stuff. What people would look at as very hardcore, tough people, but still they have to attach that ego to a gun.
Again, it's not the weapon. There's more going on there.
Yeah.
If you got a person doing that, there's more going on.
Yeah, you got to look at yourself. You got to take time to evaluate yourself
and be honest, which can be hard for people to be honest with themselves.
Yeah, be authentic.
Because sometimes we don't like what we see.
Right.
So no, I'm this.
Right.
No, you're not, dude.
Yeah.
Being honest can be tough. It's a lot. In fact, for a lot of people, it's easier to be honest about other people.
Exactly.
But about me. It's hard to turn that mirror around and look at yourself.
Right.
So again, it takes a lot of maturity to be honest with yourself, but it can be a good thing.
Right.
I think that the way you want to be appealing, you want to be respected by others, is to be honest with yourself first about who you are and what you're doing and where you're at.
Right.
Then maybe you can become that person that you're trying to be. That you think you are.
Right. And there's no perfect science. You can't, like, everyone has ego. You can't totally get rid of it. I have it. You have it. Everybody does. But the fact that you try to remove it from things is huge.
It's not. You're right.
Trying is a huge step.
A big ego has its place, but not every place.
Right. Right. And even in the places where it does have a place, it's usually not as much as you think. Anyways, enough about that.
Okay.
I'm probably boring you guys to death. But yeah, one segment I wanted to do on my radio show was, because I'm not ashamed to admit that a lot of the guns that I've wanted to buy over the years have been inspired from movies.
Oh, hell yes.
I mean, come on, like, you're just lying to yourself if you say that you've never been inspired to buy a gun from a movie, So, we talked about this ahead of time, so we were going to talk about some of our favorite guns in movies. So I'll go ahead and tell you mine, and mine is actually a fictional gun.
Okay.
But it's a gun that I've always been fascinated with. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Hellboy movies with Ron Perlman.
Oh, God.
That revolver that he has.
The big oversight, yeah.
Yeah, I wish that existed. If that existed, I would mortgage my house. I would sell everything I have. I would get that somehow. I don't know. Maybe somebody makes it. But it looks kind of like the Webley. It looks a little bit like there's some revolvers out there. But there's something neat about a massive revolver that has a top break, where it breaks open like a Schofield and all three Smith & Wesson. There's something neat about that, and someone needs to make that. So anybody out there in the gun industry, get on it.
Old school, reliable, does the job.
Yeah. Of course, he's got all the different,
different ammunitions for it. Yeah, of course. Come on.
Yeah. So that's a cool gun. But so what was yours?
I got two of them actually. While we were sitting here talking, the first one came to me. By God, 1911. By God.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it the first time I ever laid eyes on one was in when I was a kid. Gary Cooper and Sergeant York, 1940.
Oh yeah.
By God. And plus, the 1911 is over 100. It just celebrated its 100th anniversary.
Right.
100 years of kicking butt. I hope that was watered down enough for you. I know we're PG-13 here.
Right.
But 1911.
That's acceptable.
Okay. 1911 from Sergeant York, and I gotta say this one from 1967, Bonnie and Clyde. That last scene where Denver Powell mows down. What's his name? They mow down Bonnie and Clyde in the end. It was who was it? The guys that played it. What's their name?
I haven't seen that one.
Anyway, they use BARs, cut down BARs to do it. Great weapon, heavy.
Oh man,
heavy, but very effective. 800-yard range, 7.62. Oh, great weapon. Great weapon.
Yeah, those things are great. I had a chance to shoot one of those recently. It's semi-automatic, but man, a lot of fun,
dude.
And those things are they're beautiful looking. I don't know what it is about them. There's just something about them that just look neat.
Great. My old man was in World War II, and they talked about it was a good weapon, but you had to be a big guy to carry it.
Yeah.
Or
you became a big guy.
That's right. Or get big real quick.
Yeah.
Because the weapon's heavy and ammunition for it's heavy, which means you couldn't carry that much. But very, very effective. Especially close in, effective range out to 800 yards. Anything closer than that, you got problems if you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
So those are my two great weapons. By the way, I'm an old school guy. I'm a big wood and iron guy. All you new guys with your AR-15s and your Glocks, say, okay, that stuff's nice. That stuff's nice. But the retro stuff's still good. Effective.
Yeah, it's hard not to love some old iron and wood.
By God.
Old guns are kind of like old cars.
That's right.
I've got an old '69 Skylark, and man, you close that, you can't help but like almost laugh or smile at least when you close the door. It's not like like how new cars are. It's like a chunk, what I mean?
Metal hitting metal still.
It's like 100 pounds of metal just collided with it. It's I mean it's just amazing the difference how things are made. But again, not taking away from the modern stuff. It's lighter, faster, stronger. It's all good.
Of course.
But you can appreciate classics.
I'm not hating, but depending on what you want to use it for, I'm a wood and iron guy. Yep. And I'm a retiree from the Army. I carried an M4, AR-15 for you folks.
Right. People get crazy about that. It's the same thing.
It's the same gun. For 20 plus years in the Army, and good weapon for what you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
But for general purpose, you gotta go retro. 1911 A1 and M1 Garand. Can't beat it.
Yeah, a Garand, that's something special for sure. Speaking of military experience, let me go ahead and get you to tell. Okay, we have a rare opportunity here to hear. We made it. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of. There's this little situation that happened over in the desert across the pond, and I think it's referred to as Blackhawk Down. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys have heard of that. This guy has definitely heard of it. So maybe you can tell your experience.
Okay, my part of that was October of 1993. We were attached to this certain unit that went to do a certain thing in a certain place in Mogadishu, Somalia.
Right.
On that night, me and about 15 other guys were sitting at this at the end of a runway at something called I gotta be vague.
Make it sound more impressive.
We're sitting at this. We're sitting at this certain beach area about a mile from the stuff that was you saw in the movie. We're about 1 mile away from that.
Yeah.
And I remember to this day, it's been 20 years, and I remember we're sitting there watching these flashes from all the gunfire, and we're sitting there in the dark, going, "What's that?" So I'm not gonna.
Have you seen the movie?
So I'm not gonna BS anybody. I never have, by the way. Over 20 years, I've never BS anybody.
Yeah.
We weren't like involved with them. We're a mile away, wondering what's going on.
Right.
So we're stuck out there in our area,
right.
Quote unquote. And the word comes back that the mission was only to stay out there till midnight. So we're obviously gonna be out there past that.
Right.
Because we're okay. I'll say this: we're in a support role to the people doing whatever they were doing downtown. Boy, I like that tap dancing. Yeah. Anyway, so word came out we had to stay out there all night. Right. So the guy who was in charge, who should remain nameless, says somebody needs to go back and get food and water. So I'm sitting there. I'm 25 at the time, and I'm not gonna lie. Imagine 14 guys in a circle. It's pitch black. It's about midnight. And you see gun flashes and tracer fire going up in the distance, and all I could think about was every war movie I ever seen.
Because it was a war.
Because it was. So and then something just came over me. I blurted it out. Yeah, I'll go. I blurted it out. And then the guy in charge said, okay, go. And I know why he did it so quick, because he knew if I had another 2 seconds, I was like, wait, I can't keep my mind.
Yeah.
But man, I'm looking this stuff up. I put on my helmet, and I put on the chin strap, which I never did. I zip up my flak vest, which I never did.
Yeah.
I had a 9mm in my waistband, M16A2 in there, and another M9 in the back waistband. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I take off out there. I'm doing like 70 miles an hour in a Humvee, right? No lights on.
Yeah.
Right. I could barely make out the road. My attitude was, if I stop, they're gonna kill me, right?
Right.
You could have. There could have been a mother pushing a baby carriage in front of me, right over. Yeah. I would have stopped. So we leave that area. I go through a Somali village, and then I pass the village, and I go into the outskirts of Mogadishu, and then I turn into the airport. No problem. We get there. They're dropping mortar rounds, 81mm mortar rounds on the Ranger compound. Yeah. Man, I go in there. I roll right up to the MREs in the water. I jump out. I didn't put the brake on. Vehicle kept rolling. And I throw 4 boxes of MREs, 4 crates of water in the back. Jump back out. I go fishtailing out the gate.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm 25, by the way. I'm loving it, right? So I go back outside to the city and back outside the countryside. Now that there, between the first Somali village and the end of the runway, there was a 1 mile stretch of flat open road. It's about 2 in the morning, and I'm barreling down this road, and all of a sudden I see what looks like gun flashes, barrel flashes out the corner of my right eye. And my first thought was denial. My first thought was like, no way, no one's shooting at me, no way.
Yeah.
And then 3 7.62 rounds hit the passenger side door of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not gonna BS anybody. I didn't stop and jump out and return fire. Yeah, exactly. I didn't throw a grenade. I didn't do any of that. No. Yeah. My first thought was, I kicked the door open with my left foot, and I was about to jump out this vehicle.
Yeah.
And I was about halfway out. In fact, one foot was out the door. Yeah. And before I jumped, I looked down and I saw the speedometer. And the Humvee is only rated at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that needle was about 2 inches past 60.
Oh,
so I'm thinking I'm doing about, 80? So I thought, dude, you jumped, you're dead, man. You're dead. So I come back inside the vehicle and I get out of the ambush side.
Yeah.
I get back over to where we to our camp area, and I am hysterical. And I run up to the guy in charge. I go, man, they just tried to kill me. They just tried to kill me. And the guy, real calm, looked at me and says, well, yeah, it's a war. I was like, okay, you're right. And I was okay. They gave me a Bronze Star for that. I went to get food, and they gave me a Bronze Star. Right? I broke through enemy lines. That's what citation is. I broke through enemy lines, by God.
Yeah.
So, hey, go figure.
Yeah. And they just had to cut your segment out of the movie.
Of course. Yeah, they didn't. They were going to put that in, but they thought, well, you know.
Took the time to shoot it. To play yourself and everything.
Yeah, but they got that part where, they
cut it out.
They cut it out. Yeah, it would have made it too long. So, hey,
yeah.
Ridley Scott had to let something go. So it had to be my part.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that's a great story.
Oh my God.
That's crazy, being that close to. Well, you know, in the movie, I mean, it was already history. You know, the whole thing with the pilot. What was the pilot's name?
Mike Durant.
Yeah, that's right, Durant. Should have known that, but you know, of course, that was really big, and I was too young at the time, you know. But I know that was really big in the news at the time.
Yeah, you young ones, I tell you, yeah, you kids.
But you know, even without the movie, I mean, it was a piece of history, you know. And,
great stuff.
Yeah, and you're a part of it. It's definitely cool. Yeah, and while we're on that, one thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, one thing, you were in the first Gulf War there in '91.
Yes, sir.
If you can call it a war, you know.
Yeah, whatever. It was a get together.
Yeah, exactly. American Party, and you were there. And what were the years you were in Iraq? And the second time was, you say, 05?
04 to 05.
04 to 05. So, in your opinion, you know, like, you know, in the ways that, you know, the folks at home can understand, you know, like what were the major changes that you saw in just, you know, just the way that the country looked, just the nature of the thing, and just, you know,
it was a lot. Okay, 91. It was we were support guys, so there was a lot of sitting around doing nothing. As far as the country went, nobody got north of Basra, I believe, in the southernmost part of Iraq. Sure. So there wasn't this big drive north that you saw in Gulf War II, which is with the 03 war. There was none of that. There was a lot of sitting around staring at each other in Saudi Arabia in the desert, which I think one of the bigger issues they had was agoraphobia. Again, you'd be in places where, especially in northern Saudi Arabia, it's 100 miles of flat tabletop desert in every direction.
And for those who don't know what agoraphobia is, think of claustrophobia, the opposite.
Exactly. It's the opposite of claustrophobia. Yeah. Just the bigness, the openness, could bring on anxiety attacks. I mean, it's hard to imagine here because when you see trees, hills, rivers, you get perspective here.
Right.
But there, again, just, okay, I can see 100 miles that way, and in all four directions, nothing.
So be out in space or something.
Exactly. And it can have an adverse effect on people, and it did. My experience there was just a lot of time to yourself, which was bad. Too much time to yourself. Yeah. A lot of staring at each other, and that led to fighting. And oh my God, it wasn't what people expected, which was because of TV and movies. Right. You expected the big push to the Rhine. By God, we're going to take that hill. There was none of that. Come on. Come on.
Fighting scorpions.
Exactly. You know, picking fleas off yourself. Trying to stay clean. Yeah. You know, that was the big thing. You know. Listen to that cassette tape for the 100th time. Yeah. I mean, it was it was not what people expected. For me personally, the waiting around, the doing nothing, that was the worst part. Yeah. 04, when the second Gulf War, Gulf War II. Gulf War II, completely different. The Army learned, I think. This time there was internet, there were phones. In fact, if you were south of Baghdad, you could use your cell phone. Yeah, what a war. Yeah, it's rough at the front. Yeah, that means a cell phone. Yeah, it's rough at the front. Yeah. In fact, that was one of my expressions too, because they had contractors over there, contract chow. Anybody that was in Iraq or went to Balad, a place called Balad, 60 miles north of Baghdad, they had a big contract chow hall there, Halliburton. Remember that word. This chow hall was like 40 yards wide, 60 yards long, 3 steaks over there, ice cream here. Ice cream, it's rough at the front. It's rough at the front. Salad bar over there, You can have 4 meals a day. Oh yeah, it was rough. The danger was just as bad now. Don't let me take anything away from that. It was just when you weren't out there doing your thing on the road, you couldn't really complain. Yeah. Because you have a bed to sleep in, your own little hooch, air conditioning. I had guys, they had their air conditioning turned down so low, snow would fly out of it. So it was a vastly different war. And I know he wants me to tell this part. They had video games there, and what I would do personally.
It's good as combat simulation.
You're right. Combat simulation, sorry.
Let's not minimalizing that.
That's right, you're right. Let's keep perspective. Right. I would, after getting off the truck, after being out there on the road, come back in and play the first Call of Duty. How you doing? And one of my guys asked me, "Hey man, didn't you just get done doing that for real?" Yeah, but this is practice. This is practice. And if you get knocked off in this one, you just hit reset. Come on, no problem. Life's good. Yeah. And I had guys that would do that. They would get off come back, get off their tank, off their truck, from real combat out on MSR Tampa, real shooting, real killing, and come back in and stay up all night playing video games.
Yeah.
You know, but he simulated war. So I guess that's a good thing, I guess.
It has to be an odd experience. It'd be like Jeff Gordon playing a racing game.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
I mean, I can see how you would be drawn to do that.
I mean, that's a guy, you know, hey, you know. So the biggest thing is that it burned up time, which my experience, I want to speak for myself, for me, the worst times was downtime.
Yeah.
Because too much time to yourself is bad, too much time to think about. Because if you got too much time to yourself, then you start reliving every left and right turn you made in your life. And, I should have done this, I should have done that. Well, yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah.
So, it was a good war. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that. I remember you telling me before that the technology was so different. Didn't you say, I remember you saying something about how, you know, you saw before when you left Iraq the last time, you saw satellite dishes on huts.
Yeah, that was, I should have got a picture of it. We went to this village, and over there, in fact, there was a 66 candy apple red Mustang. Yeah. Parked next to a mud hut with a satellite dish on top of it.
Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, in fact, technology, the bad guys thought that the Americans could see through walls. Yeah. Because of infrared, you had infrared vision to go with your night vision, and picks up body heat, which you could pick up through the walls of the mud hut.
But they thought everybody could do it, probably. Right?
But they thought Americans just had this ability,
like their eyes somehow.
You know, Superman to see through walls. You know, well, how does he know to shoot through this wall? Well, I don't know. Something called technology, dude. Right. Same thing like in Somalia. We got word that the tribal elders went to the UN and asked who the Rangers were. Yeah. They thought, who are these evil men at the airfield that can fly at night?
Yeah. Looks like there was someone who said one time, superior technology is indistinguishable from magic.
From magic, yes. Yeah. Yes. One thing, and I hate to say this, I guess I can't say it. You can use their culture and their beliefs against them. In Somalia, there was this burnt out building next to our compound, and inside were these huge bats. Yeah. And the only way I can describe them is imagine a Jack Russell with wings. A Jack Russell terrier with wings. And during the day, they would be inside, hanging upside down, wrapping their wings, and the Somalis were terrified of them. Yeah. So we parked our vehicles right next to them, and they never messed with us. And Iraq, the Iraq 04 version of that is that we heard that this certain group took a pig. It's a Muslim country now. Took a pig, slaughtered it in the middle of a certain town, and made a big show of draining the blood, and they would dip their bullets in the pig's blood. And then after that, all of a sudden there was no problem with the bad guys after that. Yeah. Because the bad guys wouldn't risk not going to heaven by getting shot with a bullet dipped in pig's blood. So, I mean, I don't know how right it is, but it worked. Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
It worked like a charm, man. So,
that's interesting. That had to be definitely a crazy experience to be in. I mean, think about it. It'd be like being in World War I and World War II.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, here again.
I was just here. What? 10 years ago?
Can't we just have wars like in different places?
They would just finish it. That'd be the first time.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I've seen this story.
Jesus.
I think I know there was a movie with like Lee Marvin or something where he was in World War I and then.
The Big Red One.
That's right. Yeah. The one where at the end of it he kills some guy like right after they surrender.
At the end of World War I, he didn't know the war was over. This German guy came to surrender. He killed him. He had a bunch of regret, you know. And everybody said, "Don't worry about it, you didn't know." Yeah. World War II shows up at the end of World War II. German guy, hey, I give up. He tries to kill him, but he saves this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey Lee, take it easy with a knife. All right,
yeah. Yeah. I know that definitely happened between World War II and Korea. I know a lot of those guys, you know, went to both because I mean they were so close together. You know, and even Vietnam. You know, I'm sure there were people you know, World War II veterans that were involved in the Vietnam War. You know?
Korea, true, and more Korean war guys. Yeah. War is war. You'll find a lot of things are the same. So lots of you have to put up with, like distance from loved ones, family, boredom, risk. If there's one big thing that I think that stands out is that it's never what you think.
Yeah.
Because of TV and movies, we think war and combat's gonna be like this. It is nothing like that.
Sensationalized.
It's exactly, and it's all covered in a 2-hour movie. No.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, worry, concern, the biggest thing you have to deal with is time on your hands.
Right.
You got to stay busy, because if you don't, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Staying busy is the biggest problem you're gonna face there. You find yourself sometimes getting so bored, you wish they would shoot at you.
Yeah.
Which Somalia. Me and this guy sitting next to the helicopter. We're on the beach in Mogadishu talking, and I know I told you this one.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there talking, and I can only the only way I can describe this is that a 10-pound bumblebee goes past the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I went, "Did you hear that? Oh man, these bugs are big around here." Anyway, I keep talking like there's no right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 5-7 seconds later, another one up and above me. I heard this big, deep whine.
Yeah.
And my exact thought was, hey, these bugs are huge here.
Yeah.
That's why I said, let's go inside, man. These bugs are ridiculous out here. Let's go inside.
Yeah.
Months later, I went to the same guy and I went, hey, dude, I think somebody was shooting at us.
Yeah.
A war, imagine that.
Yeah, really. That's right. You needed to be reminded again.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. And on that topic, one thing I was going to ask is, like, I know that there's probably a lot of misconceptions that people have about what it means to be in the military.
Yeah.
You know, what your experience is going to be like.
Yeah.
You know, because I even know from my brief experience with law enforcement, you know, and the oh so vague descriptions that we'll give to make it sound even more impressive, that it's not like in the movies.
No.
It's mainly just a lot of sitting around.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And when something does happen, it's like you have to go from sitting around to the point where you're ready to just fall asleep to, like, could be the most important moment in your life if you don't do it right.
Yes. Yeah. The perception of what military life is different from the reality. I was an Army recruiter for a few years up north in some place that should remain nameless.
Right.
And the biggest thing I ran up against is that people thought their image of the Army was World War II.
Yeah.
You know, a guy sits in an open bay barracks on a Foot Locker shining his boots. You're in the chow hall eating beans. I mean, no, far from it. It's like a job. Yeah. In fact, most guys join the Army for a career, a chance to go to school. I couldn't went to school without the Army. I come from a pig farm in Georgia. I was impoverished, and they lifted me out. They gave me a chance to go to school, to see the world, and to do stuff. I'll be the first to say that. It's a good start.
Yeah.
Now, if you should stay 20 plus years, maybe not. That depends on you. But it's not what people think. It's you got to be professional. You got to be focused. You can make this an opportunity, or you can make this a waste of time. It's completely up to you.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I can see it's definitely, it's a good experience. There was a period of time where, I wanted to do that for a while, but I just, I'm addicted to freedom. I like put my own. Maybe I'm selfish. I like to have my own personal freedom to do what I want.
The biggest thing you get from being in the Army or any military branch is you learn what's important to you.
Yeah.
It forces you to grow up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and you learn what's important to you. Now, if you can get that from something else, by all means, do it.
And you may find what's important to you is not being told what to do.
That's right. That's right. So I think everybody should, whatever it takes, Army, whatever, or whatever it takes, learn what's important to you. Learn the real lessons of life. Right. And for me, being in the Army did that for me. And you bring that back out here, and you'll be a better person.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things. It's not for everybody, but it wasn't for me. But there's people that could really gain from it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like war, it's nasty, it sucks. We don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, we don't have to have wars. Everybody can just be happy and friends.
Oh yeah,
Just like the gun issue. There are always going to be forces that want to work against the same forces that want things to be good.
Exactly. What if Saddam had got nukes?
Yeah, I mean,
what if some other rogue nation does get their hands on weapons of WMD, weapons of mass destruction? I hate to say it, a war's a bad thing. I hope I never go near one again. I hope nobody else goes to one again. But we have to be able to and willing to if the situation calls for it. Make sure I qualify that. If the situation calls for it and we're prepared. Right,
and I think it is very American. I think you should question why we go to war.
Yes,
I think you should look at the things that we get involved in. I think you should question it. You should wonder. Okay, don't trust just because someone in a high position tells you something.
Yeah.
Don't take that as truth. There's this great video out there of Steve Jobs, and it's of course he's. Everybody knows, Steve Jobs, of course, Apple, all that. But it's kind of like this, it's like this motivational thing. And he's talking about how when you realize that the world was created by a bunch of people that don't know any more than you do, you start to realize how much impact you can have, and how powerful you really are. Like you tend to get this sense of being small. When you watch the news and you see all these powerful people making these big decisions and telling me what to do and all this stuff, and these people are influencing me what to think and making me feel like all these doomsday prophecies are making me feel like I have no control over my outcome and all these kinds of things. I mean, people have so much more power than they even realize.
Exactly.
And the internet is starting to really just bring that to life.
Exactly. You can make effective change, and not only in your life, but in the lives of others. You can. Don't worry about the world. Worry about your street.
Yeah.
Yourself, your house, your friends, your neighbors.
But still, I think locally also.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to be, on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, and
you don't have to do that.
You ain't got to do that.
There's people out there that are perfectly willing to do that. That's right. You don't have to do that. You know what I mean? There's plenty of Forrest Gumps out there.
That's right. So.
And and the thing is, like, I mean, you can. Does it like a lot of times people will say like, oh, what can one person do?
A lot.
One person can do a lot, but I can see how one vote doesn't matter or whatever. It doesn't matter.
No.
Like you don't think about that.
No.
Do what you feel is right.
Yes. What you're supposed to do.
Right, and expose your ideas to other people. Bounce them off each other. Be okay with having different views on things.
It's fine, yeah.
Like, be able to discuss things with people and have a different opinion and not turn into, like, some hateful argument. You know what I mean?
How dare you contradict me?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about, enhancing your perspective.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
And you might have something to learn from this person.
Even if you disagree with it.
Yeah, exactly. You might learn. In fact, what's his name? That senator from Hawaii, Daniel Inouye. I can't pronounce his name. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But he said something that I absolutely never forgot. He was a World War II veteran, Medal of Honor winner, served in a segregated Japanese unit in Europe. He said this. He said, if everybody spent at least 10 minutes a day getting to know somebody different from them, we'd have a much better world.
Yeah, I would definitely agree
absolutely
with that.
Right. Absolutely right.
I would agree with that. And another problem is no one seems to care about causes that don't directly affect them. They don't think about like what they feel is right and wrong. It's only the things that affect them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's people out there that they're not interested in guns. They don't care to take on the responsibility, and the effort to, get firearms, be proficient with them and be knowledgeable. So because they're not willing to do that, then it's easy for them to just fall into a trap of thinking, we shouldn't have guns. Because they're not affected by gun laws. They're just like, why not? Like, why not have guns is the way that they look at it.
But you could be affected by gun laws or someone who legally or illegally carries a weapon. You don't know. And just because it don't affect you now don't mean that it won't.
Yeah, exactly.
And because you never know. I mean, as we've seen, all it takes is the wrong person to do the wrong thing. Yeah. All of a sudden, your life is being affected by weapons.
Yes.
Las Vegas.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it happens all the time, you know. So it's definitely something to think about. Well, yeah, I guess we're getting about long enough on the radio show, but I really appreciate Derek coming out here and talking with you guys. You know, he has a lot of experience to share and insight, and you know, hope we can have him on again at some point.
Outstanding. Let me know.
And you know, so yeah, well, unless you guys absolutely hate the radio show, you know, you're out there with, you know, pitchforks and crying, you know, there's never
torches.
Do this again, ever. I wasted. Now you watch. There'll be that comment. However long this is, there's always a comment. If this radio show ends up being an hour long, there'll be a comment that says, "I guarantee it, I will never get that hour of my life back." It will be there. It will be there.
That guy is always out there. Yeah.
And to you, I don't care. I'm glad that I did that. But no, we may keep doing them. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a regular. You know,
hey, by God, yeah,
show,
make a guest appearance. I can be like the guy on Star Trek with the red shirt.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. You know, let's end the show with some totally non-gun things. There's a story that I think you should tell. I think people will find interesting. Yeah, I'll put you on the spot here. First of all, have you seen, I know, of course you're aware of the new Star Wars movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
Right, have you seen like some of the trailers and stuff like that?
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty excited about it because it kind of looks like they've listened to what the fans have been saying was the problem with the prequels that came out. And they're kind of trending back to the like puppets, you know, and more like realistic looking.
Get away from the CGI.
Yeah, I mean, CGI is great, but it has a specific purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and I think CGI has a great role in cinema, but it gets overused.
Yeah,
it ends up being a crutch.
Yeah, the whole movie is CGI.
It goes from a tool to a crutch. You know, and the thing that made Star Wars so great, and there was even a YouTube video that was put out that just explained this so well. But the thing that made Star Wars so great is because it was gritty, it was rough. You know? It was like, you know, it took place on. It wasn't like it was the future, but yet somehow it was old.
Yeah, I mean everything, all the equipment looked used. Yeah.
Yeah, like you got these like a ship like the Millennium Falcon, and it like barely works. It's like the most amazing thing that we've ever seen, and it like almost doesn't work.
It's held together with baling wires.
Yeah, he's got to like bang on it, constantly fix it. You know, that's what makes Star Wars so magical.
Right.
But yeah, but tell your story about that you told me about when you first saw Star Wars when it first came out. You were telling me, about that. You grew up in a small town, and and it came like, what was your reaction?
You can, so showing my age, way back in the last century. I love saying that, by the way. Yeah. Way back in the last century when Star Wars came, what, 77?
Yeah.
I was 12, and this little southern town that should remain nameless only had one theater, one screen, and we never heard of this. The Star Wars thing. What's that? There's some new movie up at the theater, Star something. Let's go see it. All right, let's go. So we pedal up there and we go see it, not knowing that it was a big, you know, mega thriller the mega hit that it turned out to be.
Right.
And me and this guy named whatever his name was, we go up there and we watch this movie and we are just amazed. We're like awestruck.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God!
It's like, wait a minute, that ship was huge. It's even bigger.
Bigger. And the story, and back then, again, to show you what kind of place it was, you could pay once and then just stay in there and watch it over and over and over again, right? And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
We watched that thing 2 times in a row. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. The future, my God.
Yeah.
It blew us away. Again, this is a small southern town, very old school, and you see this modern 1977. Listen to me, this modern state of the art stuff. Oh, man, you didn't see no wires or anything, man. It was great, and we became Star Wars geeks from then. And you didn't see too many black ones back then either.
Yeah.
But dude, them were the days.
The thing is, movies like that is I always try when I'm watching an older movie like that. Star Wars is not hard to just appreciate how amazing it is.
It's still good, even now. 30 years later, it's like, whoa! I'll watch it again. Hell yeah!
It still holds up, you know. But when I watch older movies like that, I try to really put it in perspective of the time that it came out. so that you can appreciate it so much more when you think about, like, for example, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
Some people that's kind of movie you either love it or you hate it. Like, I love it. You know, it's long and convoluted, but I think it's but you have to put it into perspective. Like 1969, I'm pretty sure 69, 68,
69.
like that. When this movie came out, like there wasn't anything like this.
No,
you know? Maybe
Star Trek.
So it helps you appreciate it. You know, I do the same thing with music too.
Another facet of that story. We're on a gun. We're on a gun run in a helicopter.
Yeah.
In Somalia.
Oh yeah.
And there's this long 21 October Boulevard in northern Mogadishu. Long 3, 4, 5 mile long stretch road with tall buildings on both sides.
Yeah.
And I'm coming down that thing, and we're going. And at the end of it was a target.
Yeah.
And we're going to shoot it up. And sure enough, we flew down below the level of the buildings, and we're going up this long trench like area, and they're headed toward this target at the end. Right. And yes, me being the Star Wars geek that I was, in the middle of combat, rounds flying up at us, I was thinking trench run for Star Wars.
Did you turn off your
my computer and let the Force guide me? No, that was my job. I was the computer. The pilot went, "Hey, guns, no problem. Click, we're ready to shoot." And then I'm done. I'm sitting there. So, but yes, that's how much of a Star Wars fan I am. In that distressful moment, Star Wars popped into my mind. I'm sure Lucas is gonna go, "Yeah." So,
that's great. Well, we'll definitely end on that story. That's a great story. Well, again, appreciate you coming out. And,
anytime.
We'll do it again for sure.
Outstanding. Thanks.